10 most important reasons why you have to do your pre-production properly before you do that shooting. Okay, this part of the world, especially in Nollywood and most independent filmmakers and directors alike, they jump into shooting, production, principal photography, whatever you may call it, without proper pre-production. And this is why most of our films fall below expectations, because we don't plan. And like they say, he who fails to plan plans to fail. Yes. So I'll be sharing with you 10 most important reasons why you need to do your pre-production and do it perfect before stepping into that principal photography. The very first one is brainstorming. Okay, now this is an opportunity that different creatives will have to gather. Pre-production really is about time to put ideas together, one and another, put it, and then weigh which one is good, which one is bad, and all of that. So a brainstorming session will give you opportunity to try out different ideas, because different people see things differently. Now, if you don't have the opportunity for different people to look at that same idea or that script from different point of view before rushing into location, you might probably be approaching it from a single narrative, which is not so good in storytelling. So pre-production process will give you the opportunity to have that brainstorming session where all your cast and crew and all the people that you are getting involved consulting in the project can come together and discuss it. So it's very critical that you have that session. If it is possible, do it more than once. Do it thrice, do it 4 times, do it 7 times, as many as possible, because that will open up the project to as much criticism as possible and then to as much ideas as possible. The second reason why you need to do pre-production before you even jump into production is research. Now, we have primary research and secondary research, and where you're doing scripting, there's a lot of information that you will need. The problem with most of our script that makes it look like it doesn't have depth is because many people don't do research. So they just think about an idea. For instance, they say, okay, they want to portray somebody who has a mental issue, and the writers don't take time to do research. So what they just do, they write what they think is how somebody that has a mental issue will have to behave. And then there are different kinds of mental issues, and people just write one kind of mental issue. So when you see our scripts and it's watery, it's shallow, it's because there's not enough time for pre-production. They didn't really do their research. So you have to do your primary research, you have to do your secondary research, you have to approach those people who have contact with the kind of characters that you want to develop in your script and be able to get the peculiarities and then use it to form your art. So one of the opportunities that pre-production afford you is research with primary and secondary research. And when you do your research properly, your script will have better depth and better and it's going to be better constructed. The third reason is quite simple: proposals, pitch, synopsis, whatever you may call it. Now it gives you the opportunity to approach companies, approach people who can sponsor your projects. And if you don't have that enough pre-production time, if you don't put all of that into consideration to prepare your proposals, prepare your business proposals, send it out for potential sponsorships, you probably will be using your personal money to run all the show. But if you have enough time for your pre-production, it gives you the opportunity to prepare your proposals and send out and potentially get people that can subsidize your production costs. For instance, you can get product placements in your shoot, getting people to sponsor, to give you a little bit of money for you to use their car brands, getting people to give you a little bit of money for you to use their beverages and place it in your film, and all of that. So it gives you the opportunity to get in funds to write to people who can potentially place their products in your shoot, and then you exchange it. So if you don't have enough time for pre-production, you're obviously not going to have enough time to send their proposal without the period of consideration and get some funding in. Number 4 is budgeting. All right, when you have enough time for your pre-production, when you do your pre-production properly, it gives you the time to be able to budget right. Now, I was discussing with a filmmaker friend of mine, and he told me something that is very critical. Sometimes when we're budgeting in Nollywood, when we're budgeting in Africa, we don't consider things like sachet water. We don't consider things like bottled water. We don't consider these things as part of our budget. But when we get on set, we know that we will not find out that something as little as battery, as little as sachet water can delay your set, can stop you from shooting. So pre-production will give you the opportunity to consider all the things that you need for that particular production and budget right. And then number 5 is production schedule. By the time you're able to do good pre-production right, you'll be able to schedule properly. You do your production schedule properly so that every actor knows when he's going to come in and when he's going to leave. And you plan your shoot proper. Because if you venture into principal photography without planning your shoot, without scheduling your production, without saying, okay, it's going to start, you are going to be on set XYZ day, this person is going to be, at the end of the day, everybody wants to come in at the same time and everybody wants to leave at the same time. And you will spend more. You spend more because you're going to bring all the actors at once on your set at the same time, and you're going to lodge them or feed them or whatever at the same time. So at the end of the day, you are even spending more. But pre-production will help you to schedule your production, have a good pre-production plan, and have a good production schedule plan so that people know when they are coming and when they are leaving. So you don't have to have people who are going to be on your set, eating without necessarily doing anything. This affected me when I started off early in productions, because I'll bring all the cast together, put them in a hotel, maybe house them for 15 days, 20 days, and everybody's eating morning, afternoon, night off me. And I mean, sometimes 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, one actor has not even shot. Why is the person on my set? So I need to be able to schedule properly so that that actor will know, this is the time I'm going to come in and this is the time I'm going to leave. And everybody knows when he's going to come in and when he's going to leave. The time he's going to step into that shoot and do his beat, and the time he's going to get out of the set. So post-production schedule is essential during pre-production, and you should do that. Number 6 is storyboarding. Now, a lot of people don't like to do storyboard because they are lazy or they don't think it's important. But even if you don't have time to do storyboard, you should be able to have time to do shortlist. And to be able to do that, you need to be able to know what your location looks like, because the director cannot direct in vacuum. He needs to know how the location looks like, and that's what will inform the director to say, this is the kind of shot I'm going to take to interpret my story in relation with the location I have. So storyboarding is key, and that is, you do it during the pre-production process. And if you don't have a storyboard, which means you have to step onto this and you don't have a short list, you have to step on your location and start guessing which shot will I take, which shot will I not take. That means you're not telling a story, you're just writing, taking random shots, which is not really what a director should do. A director should be able to have directed the film even before getting on set, which means he should have been able to see the picture, storyboard, know this is what the kind of shot I'm going to take. Just in case you get on set and something else happens, well, you might be able to adjust. But as long as you are a director, you should be able to know what kind of shot you want to take in every scene, so that it can correlate and tell the story, the visual storytelling you are trying to tell. And then the next one is quite simple. I had talked about production schedule. The next one is shooting schedule. Now, production schedule, like I mentioned earlier, has to do with the entirety of how the production is going to run from A to Z. You have to schedule it. But this time around, I'm talking about the shooting schedule. Now, every scene, you have to be able to break down your scene in days, and then you know how many scenes you're going to take every day, and know, at least during pre-production, you should be able to even project how many days that this shoot is going to take. I wonder what sometimes when you meet people and they're going into camera and say, I'm going to shoot for 7 days, and you be like, okay, have you done your shooting schedule? And they say they have not done that. So how do you know you're going to shoot for 7 days, for 4 days, for 3 days when you have not done shooting schedule? You should be able to do shooting schedule so that you know how many scenes you're able to take a day. If it is 5 pages of the script, you can finish in a day. If it's 3 pages, if it's 10 pages, if it's 20 pages, however number of pages you need, you can finish in a day. You should be able to schedule it. That is what we call the shooting schedule. I know exactly the numbers of scenes, so that you know the requirements. Everybody, the props, everybody on set, from the props to the costume to the makeup to every other person will know this is what we have for every day. It's called a shooting schedule, and you do that during pre-production. If you don't do that, the set is always full of chaos. The next is contingency plan. All right, I've said this over and over in Nollywood, and I told people who care to listen, look, why is it that we say we plan production, but each time we step on that production, we end up rushing. We end up trying to meet up with things. That's because we don't plan, we don't have enough pre-production plan, or we don't do the right things during pre-production. Otherwise, if we do, we should be able to anticipate and plan of different contingencies that might arise. So we know that we have to be able to, create an avenue where if this thing comes up, this is what we're going to do. So contingency plan is one of the things you do during pre-production. If you don't plan for contingencies, it might spring up and you're not ready for it. So these are some of the things you anticipate and you address during pre-production. The next one is call sheet. Now, there are a lot of people that are involved in filmmaking, from the director, producer, associate producer, actors, actresses, set, design, production design, what have you, all the crew and cast. Now, these are a bunch of numbers, bunch of names, bunch of addresses. Now, it requires somebody who understands what he's doing to be able to, during the pre-production stage, to get the names, contacts of all these people. and then put them in the know. Now, the person that is managing your production should be able to have this, and that's what we call the call sheet. Now, you have the list of all the people that are going to be part of this production, so that you'll be able to at least be way ahead before the time of the shoot, the principal photography. You'll be able to start communicating to them the different things that I've discussed earlier, like you're going to send them the shooting schedule, you're going to send them the production schedule, you're going to send them all of that. So these are things you do using the call sheet. And if you don't have a call sheet, it means you will always be going back and forth with the producer. And that's why sometimes on set, producers do a lot that they're not supposed to do. Because if they had done what they're supposed to do during the pre-production, the burden will not be so much on them. I've seen producers who are also actors, and then they go almost crazy on set where they're producing and acting because of what they didn't do their pre-production properly. Because if you did your pre-production properly, you should be able to have done a call sheet, handed all of that to whoever that will manage your production, and you have a better relax. But if you don't, it means you have to be the one making the calls, you have to be the one chasing people, and it's chaos. It's a world of chaos. Film is not supposed to be like that. Film is supposed to have very serious pre-production stage, and if you fail to do that, well, you have just opened up way for you to, have more problems on set. Okay, the very last one is permits, clearances, and rights. Okay, now pre-production gives you the opportunity to really go out and get clearances, get rights to the location you're going to be using, rights to shooting period, and all of that. Okay, let me give you a typical example. In Lagos State, Nigeria, where we film, a lot of estates, when you get there to the day of your shoot, you might be embarrassed. You might be kept outside. Your artist might just be coming in and they will tell him, you can't come into this estate. You have to call somebody that is inside the estate to give you permission to come in. Probably this is the location you have paid for. So why not, for instance, during your pre-production, make sure you go there, make sure you get the clearance, make sure you have the thing written down. This is how many days I'm going to be coming, these are the people that I'm expecting, these are their numbers and their names when they come to the gate and say, my name is so person, I'm for so production. You don't need to call anybody, just look through your log, you see the person's name, and you can give a pass. Why not get the images of these people, submit it to the security at these estates, and then they will give the person pass once they see their face and they're able to identify their images. These are things you do during pre-production. Getting the rights to use arms, getting rights to use different stuff to shoot on the road, to do all those stuff. If you don't do that in pre-production, you end up having issues during production, and then the production keep on, stagnating, and you keep on, spending more money than you're supposed to spend. So you find out that at the end of the day in this country, if we do what we're supposed to do, if we're able to do the things we're supposed to do right, as practitioners do our pre-production right, we may have to be able to spend lesser. Okay, there you have it. 10 most important reasons why you should do your pre-production before you jump into production. All right, please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, do make sure you subscribe. Click the subscription button right now and turn on the notification so that you know when I post the next video, because I do that every other week. Okay, let me also know what topic you want me to treat. As long as it has to do with filmmaking, it has to do with creativity, it has to do with developing your talent. And please don't forget that my book is still selling, Monetize Your Talent. I'll put the link on the comment section below so that you find out how you can actually transform your talent. In case if you have talent and you don't know how to monetize it, how you can able to transform it into money. So get a copy of it today. It's actually very cheap, so you can get it right there on the comment section below. All right, till I come your way next time, please stay safe, keep living, and keep creating.